Chris here with my assistant Vera, who's helping me out with this, which is the EcoFlow Delta Pro. Now, it's the world's fastest charging portable solar power station. So it fully charges in just 1.9 hours. It has a 3.6 kilowatt hour capacity, peak power output of 3,600 watts, which is more than the competition offers, and you can expand upon it and increase the capacity right up to 25 kilowatt hours. It does even support EV charging, so if you happen to be at an EV station, you could charge this up. And the maximum solar input, I've got one panel right here that I'll be testing it out with, is up to a peak of 1,600 watts. There's application support with it, and I'll be going over it in detail, and I'll let you know exactly what to expect here with the Delta Pro from EcoFlow. And I did want to point out that this is a video sponsored by EcoFlow because they've sent me out this unit here, which I do get to hang on to. The Delta Pro does come really well packaged up. It ships out on a small little pallet strapped down to it and very good padding around it, so absolutely no damage. Now when you unbox it, you will find this, a little box, and it includes the cables that we do get right here. So we have this, a DC cable. We've got our AC cable for charging it, and then our car charging cable. What is missing and would have been nice to see is a solar cable, but they are very easy to source. And then we have a user manual right here. The EcoFlow Delta Pro does have a good build quality to it. They are using plastics on the outside of it. We can see we've got some wheels here just as well because it does weigh 45 kilos. It is very heavy, so at least we can pull it along. With the handlebar that's built into the bottoms, you simply just need to press here. That releases the handle, and then you can pull that right out and you're able to pull along the Delta Pro. Power station at least has these handholds there. So the handles on it, they do give you a little bit of padding around it, do make it a bit easier to move it around. And on the top here, we don't have any Qi Wireless standard wireless chargers, which I think is a bit of an oversight here. It would have been good to have them, even though, yes, they're normally quite slow. They could have put and installed a couple of 15-watt pads there, which would have been handy if you didn't have any cables in an emergency situation. If your phone supported wireless charging or your tablet, you could at least charge it up. On the top there are these two fans here. Now you don't normally hear them unless it's under high load, and that is when it's discharging. The inverter's under quite a bit of a load there, and when you're charging it, you will hear those fans come on to keep it cool. Now these battery stations do have built-in safety, so they've got battery management systems, plenty of sensors, overload protection as well, and thermal protection too. These fans are on both sides of them, so it does have a total of 4 fans. And later on in this video, I'll give you a sample of what the fan noise is like. On the back of the Delta Pro, you will find an input here for your Anderson plug or the XT60. So that's for solar and also the car charger. We do have this little switch here for the AC charging, which is the plug right here. Now, that is 15 amps max, but we have an option there to set it to fast charging or slow custom charging. And then we have a reset here too. So if you did overload it, the overload protection, you simply need to press that in, then you're back up and running. And down here we do have the 2 ports for expanding the capacity. So those are the extra battery ports 1 and 2, which do allow us to take the capacity from the 3.6 kilowatt hours with 1 unit up to then a maximum 25 kilowatt hours. It is also the world's fastest charging battery station. With multi-charge, you can charge it at a rate of 6,500 watts, which only takes 1.9 hours. Then at the front here, we have our screen. Now the screen, this gives us handy information. We have our input voltage, currently 106 from the solar panel I've got connected up to it. There is no output at the moment because I've got nothing plugged into it. Our battery percentage, so it is 30% and charging, and it does tell me the days remaining here. For example, the days to recharge it fully, so it tells me it's going to take a day because it's only at 120 watts at the moment. And then if you are currently using it at the current rate that it's discharging, it will also tell you how many days you have left, or under that if you've got something powerful connected up to it. Then we have at the top here our DC side of things. So we've got 2 15-watt maximum USB Type A's. And then we have the 2 fast charging ones, which are 18 watts. And if you need even more power, we've got the Type-C ports, 2 of those, up to 100 watts that do support power delivery, power button, then our AC on and off button, 4 EU AC plugs right here. Now the maximum output is 3,600 watts. It can then peak at 4,500, and if you do add a second unit, you can then bring that right up to 7,200 watts peak output, which is really good. Another first too is this, that we do have an EV station plug there. So if you needed to charge it really quick, imagine that, okay, you're in a situation that you need the power, you need to have it charged up, you can stop by. You could be charging up your Tesla or your other EV car, right? And you want to use this. You're at a station, an EV station, then you've got this option. Very good to have. And it is the Infinity AC plug. Just above that EV port, then we have more options here on the left-hand side. So we've got 12 volts, 30 amps max output. That's going to be perfect for RV, motorhome, caravan owners. We've got a cigarette lighter plug here. That's 12 volts, 10 amps max. And then just below it, another 212 volts out, but they're only 3 amps max. And we've got an on and off switch for that. So this section here, that is for the application and for connecting it up to the home. So you've got your IoT reset, pairing, standby on or off, and then a LAN port for the remote. Now, if you are wondering about the peak solar input, well, it is 1,600 watts peak, and I've only got a 450 watt panel that is underperforming at the moment due to the current conditions. Unfortunately, I just cannot seem to get lucky here. There's always been this cloud cover around for the last week and the last couple of weeks. It's very hard to test out the solar panels with at least good output from them, but it's just to give you an idea. The panel I'm using here is not a super high quality one. Now it is rated to a maximum of 450 watts on a good sunny day, midday. And with these conditions, well, it is only outputting about 70 watts, that's it. Now, if you do have a set of panels on top of your RV, your caravan, for example, you've got them connected up to the Delta Pro here, then you'll be able to charge. And it's a good option to have. You can get that free energy, and of course, energy crisis, the higher cost of power, it's great to generate your own free power, which you can do with some solar panels and this power station. So there's literally 1,000 uses for a portable battery station such as this. Now I'm charging up 3 e-bikes right here. I've got some power-hungry gardening tools here, power tools. So that's one of the uses. Of course, you could use this for emergency situations, to power home appliances like a fridge, anything up to 3,600 watts. A freezer, you could use it for work tools, maybe a tradesman, you're sick of the noisy diesel generator for small jobs, then you could take along something like this. Now at my current load right here, which is just under 200 watts because I'm charging the e-bike, so when I use the power tool, it's going to peak now well over 1,000. The fans are on, even with just 180 watts, I can hear them working hard, keeping those internals cool. And now to see how it's going to handle something a little bit more powerful, which is a garden power tool here, this line trimmer. Now with that light use, it's telling me that I've got 6 hours left, and it does give me quite a bit of information here, the screen. So 50 Hertz, the AC output is running at, and I've got the solar panel connected with the solar logo there, so it knows that it's charging. So charging at about 70 and output currently just under 200 watts. But what I'll do now is load it up with some really high wattage appliances, and we'll see how the Delta Pro is going to handle it. By loading it up, loading up that inverter here, and it's currently charging now at almost 2,400 watts, output nothing, but I'm going to turn on the AC. I have a kettle connected up, which is probably around about 2,000 watts. Okay, it's pulling about 1,700 there, and then a hairdryer. So I'm going to turn the hairdryer on, and we can see it's pulling now 3,000, just over 3,000, and unfortunately it did not like that. It has cut out, it's turned off the AC. So built-in safety there, of course, and that is good. We don't want to overload it. We don't want to cause any overheating or any problems with it. But I'll do that again, that test, because I was expecting it to last just a little bit longer there. So turn on AC. And the hairdryer. I'll turn the hairdryer down a little, so that is it's looking all right now. So that's 2,600 watts. And what I'll do now is turn off the charging to see how the UPS works. So the UPS has now kicked in and it's looking good. It just took over straight away, no problems. I'll see if I can even use more power. There we go. That's better. So 4,300 watts and it's still going. It has not tripped. So I put it under too much load before with the fast AC charging. So you don't want to be charging it at the fastest setting and also loading it right up. But this is really good. Look at this thing. It's performing all right. This is well over the 3,600, so it is peaking now at almost 4,400 watts. And there we go. It has finally clicked off there, overloaded again. But that was excellent performance. That let me go for quite a few seconds. It's definitely better than the competition that I've just recently tested out. But I have turned it back on and it's happily pulling 3,400 watts right now. And I've tested this, it won't cut out. It's when I just exceed the rated 3,600 watts, it will eventually cut out because it can only peak for so long. But really good here to see the kind of output, really high wattage. So you can also charge it with the car cigarette lighter, the accessory socket that you'll find in most cars. And maximum output of this is 180 watts with my particular car, but I know other brands, they do offer even higher wattage than that output. So 15 amps cap here and 12 volts, my particular system with the car. So this charging rate is just over 100 watts, and according to the display, it will take about a day to fully charge the battery, which is a very long time. And I already have almost 30% battery, but in the case of an emergency, at least it is an option that we do have for charging the Delta Pro. This is the application, which is called EcoFlow. So you do need to register for it. You need to sign in, pair it up to your Wi-Fi network, and then you'll see Delta Pro that is now there. And when you go into it, you get all the information. So you can see the temperature of it, the percentage, so currently at almost 30% there. I'm charging it at almost 2,500 watts, and just tapping here I can see other inputs. So at the moment I don't have solar connected. Now if you can hear a bit of a fan noise going on, that are the fan, those are the fans. They're at 100% at the moment, quite loud as it charges. Infinity port, of course, I don't have that connected, not when I'm indoors right here. So you'll see when you go to the output, you've got all the output information too. It's listed right there. You can turn on the AC, the DC. You do hear a bit of a tick and a beep as that clicks on. And under this here, you'll find other settings. So a lot of different information in there. You can also limit the charging speed. Perhaps you don't want it to charge so quickly. You don't need it to. You don't want it to put demand on, for example, your household, your grid. Then you can just go and set the slow or custom switch on the back of it, which is what I will do now. So I have done that now. It's charging at 400 watts, and at that has, of course, to reduce the fan noise. It's only when it's under that full load charging at the maximum are the fans at their high RPM. They've dropped right down now. Now you can set a custom charge rate here. The lowest is 200 watts, and then right up to that 2,900 for the AC plug. But it can actually charge at 6,500 when you do have all three sources at once. Car input, the beep, screen brightness, smart generator order on and off. You've got auto timeout options. This can also be used as a UPS, firmware updates, lab features. So if the power went off, it was to be powered back on again. This is the grid. You can set the AC to always be on. So that's good if you're running, say, medical equipment, you need it to always be on, or perhaps maybe even a server or something. You're using this as a UPS. You want to enable that so it's always going to keep those AC ports on, those sockets on, so it can output the power there. Specifications of it, I'll just quickly jump into that so you can see everything there, the capacity, the weights of it, dimensions, and then all of the power output ratings there. So it's all listed. All of that info is in the application. So it is a straightforward application, very useful, and it does give us a lot of information. And since I have been stressing it out, both charging and also discharging, how loud is it? So it's got those 4 fans at the top of it that do cool it down. Right now, I've got it under a lot of stress, so I'll give you a sample of it. It is quite loud, the way to describe it, that if you're sitting next to it, yes, you are definitely going to hear it, especially under high loads. Now, when it's not under a lot of load, the fans aren't that loud, but they do tend to kick in around about 150 watts load. But here it is at maximum load, the noisiest it will get. Now, the uses of a solar battery bank like this are just endless, really, because you could be a tradesman, you have your power tools that you want to operate and run, but of course, you don't want to use a noisy generator. Maybe you've got no on-site power, and you don't need any more than the 3.6 kilowatt hours that this does have. It's going to be perfect for that. And then, of course, RV, motorhome, caravan owners, if you do have your own solar panels that you've got set up on the roof of, say, your caravan, then this is going to be ideal. And it will take the 1600 watts maximum solar input with it. And of course, it does charge really quick. It has the fastest charging rate. So 6,500 watts when you've got 3 sources to charge it all at the same time will only take, just that 1.9 hours, which is incredibly quick for something like this. And then you do have the smart home setup. So they've got their smart home generator, so you can have this as a backup even for your house, probably with other units too as well to increase the capacity. So this, just the base one here, the single unit is 3.6 kilowatt hours, but you can add more to then bring it up to the 25 kilowatt hours, which is really good. We have the application support, and I do like the fact that it has here on the left-hand side the EV charging port. Great for, say, again, emergency situations that you need to charge it as quick as possible, and you find a free working EV station that is, you could charge it up quite quickly, which is good there. And I do like the screen. It's great. It gives you that handy information of knowing just how long the current load is going to last you for. So when I was loading it up before, charging e-bikes and using power tools out here, it did tell me I had about approximately 6 hours of use. That's really good. And then when I was charging with my solar panel here, unfortunately in these very cloudy conditions at the moment, it did tell me it was going to take about a day to fully charge here the 3.6 kilowatt hour capacity that it does have. So it's a portable unit here too, which is one thing I do like about it, because competitors out there, they're doing modular setups. So you will have the power station and then the battery pack below it that you have to move around separately. You've got the cable, but this is an all-in-one unit. So that's why it is handy to be able to just pull this around, because you've got the wheels built into it, which is another great thing there, and the handle here. So that's good. However, yes, it is heavy. Good thing it's got these nice handles on it and grooves, but it's a really heavy 45 kilos. So you don't want to be lugging it around too much. At least we can pull it along, which is great. So a battery bank like this is of course perfect for home backup. There's an energy crisis going on at the moment. There's power cuts. So something like this can run your appliances for a limited amount of time, of course, in between those power cuts. So imagine you need to keep your freezer up and running, you don't want your food to go off, or your fridge, then you can connect this up and run it for a few hours, which is really handy to have something like this around. And then of course, you can, if you have solar panels, save and store the free energy that you're generating from those solar panels. Again, it's cut down on your power bills, and perhaps you can even be off-grid in your caravan, your RV, your motorhome, which I think this is absolutely perfect for. So thank you so much for watching my video here of the EcoFlow Delta Pro.